Hello, BookTube. Well, it's a bleak and barren Sunday. You haven't heard that in a while, have you? Ordinarily, at the beginning of this channel, I called Sundays bleak and barren because I got no mail. I got no free books in the mail. But then I stopped because Sundays are when we started doing our read-alongs. And we're going to be doing read-alongs on Sunday forever, and that makes them tons of fun. Read-alongs are a lot of fun. But we ran out of Pride and Prejudice before we ran out of March. so we have this one Sunday where there's no read-along. And that threw me back on my old standby of tags, of book tags to do. And I saw Paperback Junkie do this book tag, and he didn't tag me. Nobody's tagged me because nobody likes me, because I smell. But I realized when I saw him do it that I had not done this tag. I don't think I've done this tag. It's the BookTube Real Talk tag. It was created by Alyssa J. And it's a bunch of questions about booktubing, about doing BookTube. And all the reflexive thoughts that I have these days, the few remaining ones that I have about being in no position to talk about doing BookTube, about being, oh, I didn't even know that BookTube existed 5 years ago, that sort of thing, those are all largely gone. I have now done over 2,000 BookTube videos. I think I can safely talk about BookTube as though I were a BookTuber. And the first question is, what is something nobody told you about BookTube before you started your channel? And in my case, as I imagine in a lot of cases of people who do this tag, it's the whole 9 yards. Nobody told me anything about BookTube. I watched BookTube before I joined, but it was Chris and Giselle Rhodes that told me to give it a try, and they didn't tell me anything about it one way or another. They were concentrating on getting me over my fears about whether or not I could even record and upload a video. They weren't talking about the community or any challenges therein. So let's just move on to question number 2. What is your opinion on the typical BookTube videos, like wrap-ups, TBRs, hauls, that sort of thing? And I love them all. I absolutely love them all. They're exactly the sort of things I think about BookTube as conversations with people that I'm gradually coming to know, at least through the little keyhole of their videos. And when I have conversations with people who I know are active readers, these are exactly the things that I ask them. What are you reading? What have you got lately? What all that sort of stuff. I essentially ask people in the pre-BookTube days, I was essentially asking them for their hauls and their TBRs. So I'm fascinated to see all of that. I love it. I wouldn't want those staples to change. I don't find them boring at all. Question number 3, what is an assumption you had about BookTube before you joined, and was it proven correct or not? And the main assumption that I had before I joined BookTube is that I would have to spend a lot of time talking about YA. And I don't know how to describe whether or not that assumption proved true or not. I think the oddity of this response is that it isn't so much that response proved true, it's that in the time between when I had that assumption and now, BookTube itself has started to change. I think in the last 3 years, BookTube has become a far better, more accurate reflection of the weird variety of readers just in general in the world. I don't think when you look around BookTube, first of all, you see an exponentially greater number of channels, but also a far greater amount of variety. It's not just the first generation of, arm pinwheeling, screaming at the camera, YA fanatic BookTubers. They might get to talk to Michelle Obama, but they're not the only thing on BookTube anymore. So my assumptions didn't prove to be true, but they probably would have if BookTube hadn't changed. But question number 4 is, what is something you've done that has actually helped to grow your audience? First of all, I want to point out that I haven't done anything to grow my audience because my audience aren't petunias. If by grow the question means increase, well, I've done a couple of involuntary things to increase my audience at the very beginning. The less said about that, the better. But I think the main thing I've done to increase my audience in the last couple of years has been to be very active. I try to be in the comments field every day. I try to be getting in touch with people. I'm forever telling people to get in touch with me at Gmail. Just email me directly. I don't need to contact. I don't need this to be our only means of contact. I like you all. I want to hear from you all. I want to send you things. I occasionally am very humbled to get things from you in the mail, quite a few of which are in the background of my videos these days. And also, I make 5 videos a day. That also helps. Or maybe not. Some BookTube people that I know who are not BookTube, YouTubers that I know who aren't BookTubers say that it's crazy for me to make 3 videos in a row and upload them one after another. They talk about stepping on your own video. Say you don't want to do that. You don't want to step on your own video. Give it time. I don't know if that's true or not, but then again, a huge audience has never been my goal on BookTube, and it never will be. So I don't really care if my videos step on each other. I don't even not sure what that means. Question number 5 is, what is a common mistake you see BookTubers making, and is it one that you made? And the commonest mistake that I see new BookTubers make when I watch, like for instance, the BookTube newbie tag, is not one that I ever made myself, and that is they create a false self to be on camera. And I guess I understand on one level why they do that, but that is not sustainable. And if you're not doing this for the long run, then why are you doing it? And also, even if you are doing it for the short run, it's no good for you morally or ethically to be lying every time you make a video. The main mistake that I see, and I see it less and less. I see more and more BookTubers just being themselves on camera. The main mistake that I see new BookTubers make is to create that kind of a persona, create a kind of fake world for their BookTube channel, something that isn't themselves, something that takes a huge amount of psyching up and effort to be. Creating that and then letting that be their channel, that is a big mistake. In no time at all, what maybe struck you originally as creative is going to strike you as artificial, and then right after that it's going to strike you as work, a lot of work. And if you stick around and do it, you are going to displace the resentment of that work on your audience. And that's how you get BookTubers with 40,000 subscribers who in private to their friends refer to those subscribers as vermin. That's how you get people like that. That's how you get people who hate their audience, condescend to, hate, and despise their audience. It's because they have made their BookTube channel into a job, into work, and nobody likes to work. so my strong advice to new BookTubers is don't do that. Don't do that. Turn the camera on, collect your thoughts, and talk. Don't act, because the acting won't sustain itself. There's no amount of money in the world that would, and let's be honest here. You're not going to see any amount of money, mostly. So, anyway, question number 6 is, what are your thoughts on working with publishers and sponsorships? Well, I've been over this on this channel, but it has been quite some time. There are a couple of thousand people who weren't here last time I was throwing bombs on this subject. And my thoughts on working with publishers are slightly different than my thoughts on sponsorships. Depends on what you mean by working with publishers. If the extent of what you mean by working with publishers is that you request a book from them, you tell them who you are, you tell them the size of your channel, and they send you the book, then I'm all for it, of course, because that's my job. That's what I do every day. That is the relationship. That is the work that I do with publishers. I contact them. I say, here's a book that you've got coming out in a month. I'd like you to send me a copy for a possible review. And that's it. They either say no, and then I don't hear from them, or they say yes, and then if they're doing their job right and they're professional about it, I then don't hear from them. All that's left after that is whether or not I do a review, but that's it. That's all, and nothing is ever discussed about that one way or another. If the quote-unquote work with publishers takes any more extensive form than that, then you shouldn't do it. And when it comes to sponsorships, okay. I'm going to try not to shout. If someone, let's say a publisher in this case, since we're talking about books, if a publisher pays you to talk about their book and you take that money, no one should ever trust you again when it comes to books. Not just when the camera is on, but ever. If a publisher pays you money to praise their book, or even to talk about it, because as we've mentioned on this channel, the main thing they want is attention. If somebody pays you money to praise their book, you can't say 5 days later at a restaurant with your friends that a totally different book is something that you really liked and expect to be believed. Your friends, your closest friends, should think you're lying. Everyone should think you're lying. If you sell your approval, then it's gone and you can't get it back. And there's no amount of money that's worth that. So what I think about publisher sponsorships for booktubers is that no booktuber should ever do it. Under any circumstances, you should never do it. That should not be your goal. Your answer, if it's proposed to you, should be no. A polite but firm no. I know quite a few booktubers are young, so maybe they don't believe me, but I'm telling you, your integrity is worth more than anything that a publisher can offer you for it. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. You can't say 5 years from now, this time I really mean it. It doesn't work that way. Once you've sold it, it's gone. So don't do it. Don't do it. Not only should no booktuber ever make videos like that, but booktubers who make videos like that should be shunned as sources of book advice. It kills me when I see bigger booktubers, 60, 70, 80,000 subscribers, who 5 videos a week say, well, so-and-so reached out to me and they told me how great this book is, and now I'm telling you how great this book is. They totally skip over the fact of whether or not they've even read it. 4 or 5 videos a week they do that, and then they say, yeah guys, I just thought I'd do an unscripted video. You can see their eyes reading the script off camera. They're lying the whole time on their channel. Just they're the ultimate expressions of what I'm talking about by just starting a channel as a lie and keeping it going as a lie. They're saying, you know guys, I thought I'd just do this unscripted video to tell you I just read this book the other day, and I know this is a sponsorship, no one's paying me to say this, but boy oh boy was it good. No one should believe that person. They've already sold their believability. So I'm against sponsorships. Thanks. Then question number 7 is kind of strange. I haven't watched much of Alyssa J's channel, but question number 7, things get dark right away. It's out of the blue. Question number 7 is, do you think BookTube is dying? No, I don't think BookTube is dying. I think BookTube is getting healthier all the time. BookTube is in its infancy. And I think it's getting healthier all the time as the entire culture switches more and more over to video content for everything. When's the last time you read a how-to manual about anything when you had YouTube at your disposal? When's the last time you did that? When's the last time that you went to a bookstore and got a game-playing manual for a video game? They practically aren't even made anymore. Video content is increasingly everything, as all of us have TV screens on us at all times. And BookTube is right there, on the ground floor of that. Bookish people talking about books, where you get a sense of which people, which booktubers you want to trust, which ones' tastes align with yours, which one's mode of presentation is enjoyable to you, and you set up your favorites, and you're slowly adding to that staple the whole time. That's amazing. The publishing world doesn't know much about that, but I guarantee you, since Michelle Obama sat down and talked with a handful of very successful booktubers, most of whom hate BookTube and are looking for any way out, but she can't know that. I'm sure her people were just looking at numbers. Since she did that, and since the New York Times ran an article on BookTube, more and more people know that BookTube exists. That is not dying. That is the recipe for a boom. So that's great. No, I don't think BookTube is dying. I don't want it to die. I don't know what I would do without this. And then question number 8 is to tag your friends. And since the question says specifically friends, I don't feel quite so behooved to move outside of my immediate friend group. Although if you're watching this channel and I don't name you, as lame as it always sounds, you should do this tag if you're a booktuber. This is fascinating for booktubers to do. But I want to tag Mark at Richardson Reads. I want to tag Lukash. I want to tag Jason and Kelly, 2 videos for the price of 1. I want to tag Olive, of course. I'm not 100% sure if, and this tag is old hills, so I'm not. It's been around the block, is what I mean to say. Lots and lots of people have done it. I'm not 100% sure that any of these people haven't done it already. But if you haven't done it, these are the people I'd like to see it from. Also, Alex, at what page are you on? I'd love to hear your answers to these questions. And of course, Britta, who wants to be tagged in all of your tags. She loves tags. So that's it. That is the BookTube Real Talk tag on a bleak and barren Sunday. But it's not bleak and barren so much. I mean, I do get books the rest of the week, and every other Sunday we will do a read-along, and I have had the bean cooped up with me this rainy day the whole day, so it's not quite bleak. But still, it's fun to do a tag. So I'll wrap this up. That was fun, and I'll be back soon. Thank you, BookTube.